Okay, so the PPI just came out today and it's not good. Now, obviously, I just said PP, which means Meet Kevin is having a laugh. But on a serious note, look, you should really care about this. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, the PPI, the Producer Price Index, is basically how much things we use to build stuff, the raw materials, the raw goods, are getting more expensive by every single month. And look, it's not good. I'm going to break down the numbers in a second, but I have to just explain to you that if the PPI comes up, I know I just said it, Kevin, relax, then it's just a question of time until the CPI, the metric you all follow and care about, will also go up. This is the precursor. This is the warning sign. Now look, last month in December, we had a great CPI. We had a great PPI. PPI went down by 0.2%. Everybody celebrated. And this month, we knew it's going to get worse. In fact, we kind of braced for impact. The anticipation was 0.4% increase. And we just got 0.7% increase. Almost doubled the anticipation. That's not good. Now, what does it actually mean? That means that the CPI is going to keep coming in hotter than what we want. Does it mean that we're going back on inflationary cycles? Not necessarily. But it does mean that things are not as good as we would like it to have in order to actually get a lower interest environment, a more easy environment. This basically means that the QT, the quantitative tightening, that the restrictive monetary policy by the Fed has to continue for longer than what the market is currently pricing in. And that's why you're seeing all this red in the markets today. This is another indicator that the market was not pricing in correctly the whole policy Fed pivot thing. And I've been shouting about it multiple times. In fact, I made a whole video yesterday saying that the Palantir run-up for the past 2 days is just one bad macro day away from collapsing. And today we're seeing part of it happen. Now, again, I just want to clarify. I have no crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen. But this is another signal that the Fed has a lot more when you combine work and more, you get mork. So the Fed has a lot more work to be done, and the Fed pivot is nothing but a pipe dream, and pricing the stock market based on it is just a setup for failure. And before we continue to the next few things I want to talk about, and trust me, I have a lot of interesting stuff to cover, I do want to thank Tendies for sponsoring this video. I know what you think. Here comes another sales pitch, but it's not. Look, a few months ago, I had Michael Mosesian on my channel multiple times. He's my in real life friend, and he actually ended up becoming the head of research for Tendies. And that's how the relationship formed. I love Tendies. They're a free platform. There's no upsell. There's no premiums. Everything's 100% free. They make great articles, great research. For example, they put out a really good coverage for Palantir earnings. Michael himself put out a really great article about how to use commodities to hedge against inflation a few months ago. And they have an options flow for free, which I'm not familiar with any platform giving that for free, and an options calculator. Now, if you love options, and I know a lot of people in my community use options as a long-term investing tool, and if you want to learn more about it, ask me below. I'll tell you how. It's optional, but you can also plug in your own brokerage account into it and get more relevant information, but you don't have to do that. They'll give you everything for free as it is. So, filter out the noise, get Tendies. The link is below. You go in, you sign in, and then that's it. That's the whole platform. Super simple, super easy, and 100% free. Now, moving on to the next item I want to talk about. Charlie Munger came on CNBC the other day and said that he loves BYD, that BYD is such a great stock. In fact, it is his favorite stock, and it's miles, light years ahead of Tesla in China. And basically, he made love with BYD. BYD. That's such a Russian way of saying in Russian, you don't say BYD, you say BYD. Sometimes my Russian again, I don't know, my Russian accent sometimes just pops up out of nowhere. Hey, motherfucker, I'm here. Acknowledge me. Well, you're acknowledged. Anyway, so BYD and Munger were having pretty much an X-rated love affair on CNBC. The only problem with this is that if you look under the hood, you find out that actions speak louder than words. Now, Berkshire Hathaway, which I'm sure you understand, has a certain connection to Mr. Charlie Munger, actually reduced its position in their favorite stock by 42% since August 2022. So while this company is being dumped by Berkshire Hathaway, 42% reduction in their holding in the past year and a half, they're all hyping it up. They're selling slowly. Every time they sell, they sell like 0.5%, 1%, no more. But every time they sell a little bit, they keep hyping it up. Now, I don't know if this is intentional. I don't know. There's a million reasons to sell the stock. I know this old saying. I don't know what their strategy is. But all I'm saying is pay attention to actions, not words. I mean, that's all I got to say about it. Now, talking about paying attention to words, instead of actions. I just want to remind you that when this year started, everybody were talking about the fact that Tesla is hitting the demand wall. Not enough Tesla demand. Tesla can't sell enough cars. Everybody was basically saying, oh, I'm going to wait for Tesla to come down from 100 to 70. Basically, I just want to remind you that this was 98% ago. Now, I don't know if Tesla comes back down, maybe it goes up. I don't know. I don't care. But I do love the fundamentals. Ever since that happened, the beginning of the year, we had great earnings. And when I say great earnings, I mean, that's an understatement. Now we're finding out that Tesla just ran out of Model Ys in the US. You can't get a Model Y in the US right now until April. Why? Well, they just literally sold out. Everybody bought one. Why? Because Tesla has a demand problem, but not the kind of demand problem that these model lovers were talking about. They have a demand problem in the fact that there's too much demand, not enough cars. Same in China, by the way. China demand is going through the roof for Tesla as well. Now, I know BYD sells a lot of cars in China, but there's no demand problem for Tesla, as you can see right now. Once Tesla dropped prices a little bit back from the increase they had, basically they sold out of everything, and that they literally had to raise prices again in the US and China. China and the US actually had price increase back up because they literally just sold out. Now, talking about China, China just sanctioned Lockheed Martin and Raytheon basically from operating in China, which I find really funny. It's pretty much like me banning myself from going to the gym. Number one, I've never went to the gym, as you can see. And number two, the gym doesn't give a fuck. Okay, mother lover, don't come to the gym. No problem. I mean, China banning these companies is actually more amusing. I mean, they're running out of PR stunts. And I actually want to do a little bit of shameless self-promotion. I just put out an article about Microsoft versus Google, the massive war that is going on right now with Bing versus Google, the whole cataclysmic insanity that goes around it. Basically, my own prediction on who wins this massive battle and what the impact is. This article, of course, is on Patreon and in our channel members section. You can check it out by becoming a channel member or a Patreon. The links are below for both. It's $5 per month. You know, it's a cup of coffee for a month for these great articles or horrible articles. You can comment and actually hate on it if you're a Patreon member. So if you hate me, that's fine. Pay me $5 and join the Patreon. See you next video.